They had money, fame, and a perfect life in Beverly Hills, until one shocking night in 1989 when everything changed forever. The story that opens with this sentence takes us to the case of the Menendez brothers, one of America's most controversial family murders. On the night of August 20th, 1989, a chilling tragedy unfolded in one of the luxurious and safe streets of Beverly Hills. Jose and Kitty Menendez were brutally murdered in the living room of their home. Neighbors and friends who heard the news of the murder were shocked. This family was a wealthy, powerful, and happy family, envied by everyone. But the truth that soon emerged shocked the entire country. The killers were their own sons, Lyle and Erik Menendez. This case wasn't just a family murder. It created a media storm in America, was debated for years, and became the subject of documentaries and television series. So why did these two young men do such a thing? Was it greed, or was it the result of years of abuse and oppression? Let's examine this chilling story from beginning to end. Jose Enrique Menendez was born in Cuba in 1944. He immigrated to the United States at a young age. He had neither money nor connections, but thanks to his determination and intelligence, he quickly rose in the business world. He worked for major companies like RCA and Live Entertainment. He entered the Hollywood film and music industries. He became known as a powerful, ambitious, and ruthless businessman. His career successes earned him a large fortune and a luxurious life in the heart of Beverly Hills. If you've watched this far and enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe and like the channel. Now that we've reminded you, we can continue with the video. His wife, Mary Louise Kitty Menendez, was a native of Pennsylvania. She met Jose during her college years. She worked as a teacher, but after marrying Jose, she focused on her home life. The couple's outward appearance was practically perfect. Beautiful houses, expensive cars, an elite social circle, the American dream. But inside, things weren't quite as they seemed. Their children, Lyle, born 1968, and Erik, born 1970, grew up amidst this splendor. They attended the best schools and excelled in sports. Erik was particularly talented at tennis, but Jose's the strict discipline put immense pressure on the children. The bonds of love within the family had given way to fear. Allegedly, Jose exerted both physical and psychological pressure. Kitty, on the other hand, struggled with depression and often tried to calm down with alcohol and pills. On the night of August 20th, 1980, a horrific plan was put into motion at the Beverly Hills house. That night, Jose and Kitty were watching television in the living room. Lyle and Erik entered with shotguns. They shot their father, Jose, first. Jose died instantly. Then their mother, Kitty, panicked and tried to flee. But her sons did not give up. She was shot repeatedly. That night, the house became the bloody scene of a family tragedy. The two brothers did not panic after the murder. Instead, they went out to the movies and then met with friends. The goal was to make it seem like they weren't home. When they later called the police, they said, "We came home and found our parents dead." The police initially believed this story. Because the house belonged to a very wealthy family, the first suspects were usually outside attackers. But the truth was, his face would soon be revealed. At first, the police thought the murder was a mafia-style showdown. Jose might have had business enemies. But as the details were examined, the picture changed. There were no such suspects among Jose's business connections. The manner of the murder was also strange. The victims had been shot multiple times. It appeared more like a personal outburst of anger. Suspicion increasingly turned to the sons. Shortly after the murder, the brothers' behavior began to draw attention. They bought expensive cars, made lavish purchases, and went on vacations. These expenses strengthened the prosecution's claim that they committed the crime to inherit an inheritance. Eventually, Erik confessed to the murder to a close friend. The friend told his therapist, who then legally reported it to the police. Thus, the brothers' secret was revealed. The police took them into custody. During interrogation, Erik finally admitted his guilt. Lyle couldn't deny it either, but each gave different explanations of their motives. The Menendez brothers' trial became one of the first major trials to be broadcast live on television in America. The prosecution argued that the brothers committed the murder out of greed. They had killed their parents to inherit millions of dollars. The evidence pointed in this direction. They had indulged in lavish spending immediately after the murder. But the defense painted a very different picture. The brothers described years of abuse by their father. Through tears, Erik admitted to sexual abuse by his father. Lyle also supported these allegations and claimed their mother knew about them, but remained silent. These testimonies shook the courtroom. Public opinion was divided. One side argued that the brothers had hatched a cold-blooded scheme for money, while the other argued that they were victims of years of oppression and violence. The jury in the first trial was undecided. No verdict was reached. However, at the end of the second trial, the jury found the brothers guilty. Lyle and Erik were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Today, they live in separate prisons. They wrote letters to each other for years and even participated in documentaries and interviews. Both brothers married in prison. Their story continues to capture attention, even decades later, because this case wasn't just about murder. It also raises profound questions about domestic violence, abuse, oppression, avarice, and societal values. The Menendez case was a turning point in 1990s America. People watched it for hours on television. Perhaps for the first time, allegations of domestic abuse have been so widely publicized. Some viewed the brothers as victims, others as murderers. In fact, this case paved the way for media-driven trials like the O.J. Simpson trial in later years. The Menendez brothers' story demonstrates how dark secrets within a family can lead to a bloody end. Behind the facade of wealth, glamour, and the American dream lay oppression, fear, and tragedy. Two young men, either driven by greed or fueled by years of abuse, murdered their own parents. Whichever the case, the outcome remains unchanged. A family destroyed, two young men sentenced to life imprisonment, and the case etched in history. To this day, this case is still discussed in documentaries, TV series, and true crime videos. The Menendez brothers' story isn't just a crime story. It raises questions about family, power, money, and human nature. So what are your thoughts? Were the Menendez brothers greedy killers or helpless victims of abuse? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you enjoyed the content, you'd make me happy if you subscribed and liked it. I hope to see you in another video. Take care, bye.